Lee Yoon-hyuk goes to the storage room, ignoring Kim Seok-hyun's attempt to talk. Yoon-hyuk seeks Cha Hyun-soo, surprising Seok-hyun, who warns Hyun-soo that they are just using him. Hyun-soo ignores the warning. Yoon-hyuk explains they need to properly barricade the building and asks Hyun-soo to fetch Han Do-sik for assistance. Yoon-hyuk tells Hyun-soo that by siding with him, they won't oust him, in exchange for Hyun-soo doing the dangerous work others cannot. Meanwhile, Han Do-sik discovers the strange womb-like structure in his bathroom. He remembers the old lady, who asked him to kill her if she mutated, and relates to her due to his own lost children. Do-sik was about to shoot the structure when he sees a baby's hand move inside. He lowers his gun, closes the door, and tells the children the old lady is gone. The scarred face man heads upstairs and runs into the daycare director on the ground floor. She offers him everything she has for his help, still wanting to retrieve her daughter's remains outside. He pushes her aside and refuses, continuing upstairs. Hyun-soo attempts to follow, but Yoon-hyuk stops him, whispering something that shocks Hyun-soo. Seok-hyun's wife brings food to him and the man in the storage room. Seok-hyun demands more, but his wife refuses, explaining they are rationing. Seok-hyun threatens to eat his wife when he mutates. The other man advises Seok-hyun to control his anger. Hyun-soo remembers Yoon-hyuk's whispered request. His main goal is Han Do-sik, and the children are secondary. If things go wrong, Hyun-soo must prioritize Do-sik and leave the children. Seo Yi-kyung confronts Yoon-hyuk about endangering people's lives. Yoon-hyuk defends his actions, arguing they desperately need Do-sik for defense, and saving the children could jeopardize that. He sent Hyun-soo out to help him control his mutation, as willpower seems to be key. Yoon-hyuk intends to turn Hyun-soo into their weapon. Yi-kyung shows Yoon-hyuk a retractable knife, insisting Hyun-soo is still human. Yoon-hyuk replies, "For now." Yi-kyung leaves the bathroom, disgusted by Yoon-hyuk's plan. Before she goes, Yoon-hyuk reveals he planned to keep Hyun-soo all along, showing her the fake votes he kept after calling for a vote. Yi-kyung argues the tenants voted for Hyun-soo out of conscience, but Yoon-hyuk counters that they voted out of self-interest and fear, knowing they might be next to be infected and ousted. Yoon Ji-soo overhears this conversation. Ji-soo plans to leave the building, telling Yoon Jae-hyun that the tenants will soon become infected, making it unsafe. Jae-hyun asks where she is going, but she says only that she will find a way to survive. Jae-hyun chases her to convince her to stay. Hyun-soo, controlled by his mutated self, and the scarred man continue upstairs. Hyun-soo attempts to enter a closed section of the building, but the scarred man stops him, punching him to bring back his normal self. Distracted, the scarred man is pulled away by a monster. Hyun-soo chases after him, but they are caught in an explosion. An older man and a young woman, Park Yoo-ri, who were helping each other kill monsters, find the scarred man clinging to life after the explosion. They carry him away. The monster was a man whose son died in a fire. A diary entry confirms his mutation reflects his deep failure to reach his son, with stretching hands. The daycare director continues to mourn. A tenant tries to console her. Yoo-ri and the old man bring Hyun-soo and the scarred man back to their apartment. The scarred man refuses treatment and leaves. The young woman checks on Hyun-soo, who also refuses treatment. The old man points his crossbow at Hyun-soo after noticing his odd behavior and demands to see his wound. Hyun-soo reveals it is already healed. The old man calls Hyun-soo a monster and tells him to leave, but then laughs, saying it was a joke. The old man, who is not afraid to die, offers to accompany Hyun-soo to the 14th floor, firing Yoo-ri as his nurse. He tells Hyun-soo that fearing death and wanting to die are different. Seok-hyun's wife visits him in the storage room and stares at him as he sleeps. She tells him that if she mutates, she will kill him. But not as a monster, as that wouldn't satisfy her. Seok-hyun dismisses it as nonsense. He doesn't see the knife she holds behind her back. She's unable to kill him due to the other man in the room. She leaves, telling the man the scarred man has gone upstairs, heading back to his apartment. The man realizes his keys were stolen. The scarred man reaches the apartment and searches frantically but finds nothing. He then tries the key on the adjacent apartment, which opens. He enters a dark room filled with pictures of naked girls, revealing the man he tortured was a pedophile. Hyun-soo, Yuri, and the old man arrive at Do-sik's apartment. Hyun-soo immediately asks about the old lady. In the management office, Yoon-hyuk keeps a list of survivors, infected, and dead, and fails to reach anyone on the radio. Hyun-soo and his group are about to discover the old lady's fate as they open the bathroom door. Jisoo and Jaehyun hang an SOS banner outside the building. The pedophile cuts himself to get the attention of the tenants, who let him out for treatment. Jaehyun sees him leave the storage room and suspects something is wrong. The scarred man returns to the ground floor to confront the pedophile. Jaehyun tries to intervene but is too late. The scarred man hits the pedophile, throwing him against a wall as the other tenants watch. The scarred man remembers Hwang Sung-jae, who was sentenced for something that affected him. He hits the pedophile 3 times, killing him, saying he didn't deserve a humane death. The scarred man drags the body out. He drags the bodies of Lee Soo-ung and the daycare director's daughter back inside before closing the gates. But Yoon Jae-hyun stops him. The scarred man collapses, exhausted. The daycare director hugs her dead daughter. The children, Soo-young and Young-soo, talk about their father. The daycare director cleans the children, and they cry together. The tenants join the daycare director to bury her daughter, Park Min-ju, and Lee Soo-ung. The children make paper flowers for the graves. The old man salutes Soo-ung for his sacrifice. Yi-kyung tries to console the daycare director, who vows to remain strong for her family. She doesn't know Yi-kyung is pregnant. Seok-hyun becomes further infected while his wife congratulates Yi-kyung on her pregnancy. Yoon-hyuk contacts Hyun-soo and sends him on another mission to scale the building using the fire exit stairs. Outside, a huge monster grabs the long-tongued monster as it is feeding on the pedophile's body. 20 years ago, in September 2000, Pyun Sang-wook, the scarred face man, confronted Hwang Sung-jae while walking home, demanding to know why he burned down Sang-wook's house. Sung-jae, recognizing the burns on the teenager's face, confessed it was a prank. He claimed he had already been punished with a few months in prison and probation. Sang-wook, unable to accept the light penalty for his father's death, stabbed Sung-jae in the neck, killing him instantly. 20 years later, in July 2020, Sang-wook received a request from a man searching for his missing daughter. The man, knowing Sang-wook was a killer for hire, begged him to find the person responsible. Sang-wook initially refused but eventually accepted the low fee. This request led Sang-wook to the Green Home Apartments, where he found and killed the pedophile. Sang-wook wakes up in the present and begins strangling Park Yuri, telling her not to touch him. Yuri gives him bandages and leaves. The old man tries to take a parked motorcycle, but Yuri stops him. The tenants debate Sang-wook, with some grateful he killed the pedophile and others worried he might turn on them. The daycare director thanks Sang-wook for retrieving her daughter's body and offers him her jewelry, but he is already gone. Sang-wook goes to Min-ju's burial spot, digs a small hole, and buries the pedophile's apartment keys. Yoon Jae-hyun sees him and asks why he is burning money. Sang-wook says he was paid for a job he failed. Jae-hyun returns Sang-wook's phone and apologizes for invading his privacy by seeing his text messages. Sang-wook asks Jae-hyun to pray for the pedophile's victims, saying God favors Jae-hyun more. The tenants practice defense strategies against monsters. Lee Yoon-yu sarcastically applauds their efforts and leaves. Meanwhile, Seo Yi-kyung breaks into a sealed area of the building. Lee Yoon-hyuk disapproves and tells her to leave. Kim Seok-hyun's wife opposes Yi-kyung leaving due to her pregnancy, but Yi-kyung insists she must act. Yi-kyung takes the old man's motorcycle and leaves. Yoon-hyuk tells the old man that Yi-kyung left to repay his debt, confusing the old man, who only cares about his stolen motorcycle. Jae-hyun brings Sang-wook to Seok-hyun's store. Jae-hyun pours a shot of soju but only tastes it, revealing he is a recovering alcoholic desperately resisting relapse. He tells Sang-wook to take charge of the store, explaining that people handle problems differently, and the store allows Sang-wook to be alone while fighting his own demons. Kim Young-soo goes outside the daycare to read the Green Home House rules and notices his name is missing from the buddy system. The old man offers to be Yong-Soo's buddy. The rules state groups must move in pairs, food must be rationed, temperatures checked before bed, and the infected must be quarantined. Cha Hyun-soo returns from his errand and gives a bag of batteries to Eun-hyuk. He asks for his room to be locked, gives the keys to Do-sik, and is locked inside, as the tenants can't risk him turning into a monster overnight. Do-sik questions if this is right, but Eun-hyuk says they have no choice. The tenants give Hyun-soo a list of items they need from their rooms. Hyun-soo goes upstairs using a string system to move between rooms. He plans to escape when he hears a bell ring in the corridor. He peeks out and is immediately attacked by a very speedy monster. The tenants, making Molotov cocktails in the store, think about drinking the liquor to prevent it from going to waste. A tenant sneaks a sip, unaware Sang-wook is watching. Soon, they hear a monster whistling. They rush out and confront a monster covered in hair. It's Kim Seok-hyun. His wife, Seon-young, steps forward, volunteering to handle him. She asks if he has any last words, hoping he will apologize, but he only tells her to kill him. Seon-young repeatedly hits him with a lead pipe until he stops moving. Hyun-soo returns just in time to witness Seok-hyun's execution. He sees his own mutated reflection in the blood on the floor, and his mutated self warns him he will suffer the same fate. Hyun-soo ignores the vision and returns to his cage. Seon-young isolates herself, smoking as she mourns. Yi-kyung arrives at Dongbu Penitentiary Clinic and asks for her husband's body, who died in a fire in July 2020. Officials refuse to help, so Yi-kyung resigns as a firefighter. She rides the motorcycle to her husband's office, finds his tablet, and reads his blog entries about the disease before the army arrives. They bag her head and take her away. The tenants worry when the power goes out. Yoon-yu tells everyone to stop complaining. Jisoo talks to Eun-hyuk, who explains that losing power is secondary to having food and water. Jisoo asks if he believes they will survive. Hyun-soo wakes up with Yoon-yu reading nearby. She asks about his scar. He says he wounded himself. Yoon-yu tells him he needs to stop blaming himself so others can understand his pain. She gives him a box of band-aids before leaving. She bumps into Eun-hyuk and Jisoo, and they argue about Hyun-soo. Yoon-yu tells Eun-hyuk not to interfere because he is not her real brother. Eun-hyuk slaps her to end the argument. Eun-hyuk tells Hyun-soo he must leave. He is running out of time and losing control of his mutation. Eun-hyuk can't risk him turning into a monster around them. Hyun-soo goes to the basement parking lot to find an exit, but is caught by the spider monster. Meanwhile, the army questions Yi-kyung about the monsters. She demands to know what happened to her husband, but the army says he is dead. Based on his blog, he tried but failed to cure himself. Yi-kyung realizes she must save herself and tells the army about Hyun-soo. Eun-hyuk, Jisoo, Jae-hyun, and Sang-wook go to the basement to rescue Hyun-soo. They spot another monster but avoid it to focus on their mission. The spider monster uses Hyun-soo as bait to separate the humans and chases Soo-young using the air vents. Do-sik arrives to save Soo-young. Eun-hyuk's group saves Hyun-soo but must now face the speedy monster. Do-sik loses control of his wheelchair and falls. Soo-young tries to help, but the spider catches up, grabbing Soo-young's jumper and pulling her away from Do-sik.